Hello, people. Welcome back to another video by your good friend, Super Chad Marco. Make sure you viciously molest the like button, subscribe, and all that good shit, and let's have a conversation. So you guys know on the previous episode of the OCM podcast, it was called the Pineapple Show, and on that episode I was showing off my appearances on Melly Monaco's Pineapple Show, the speed dating show and all that. If you haven't seen it, go check it out or you won't understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, after I had released the video, one of my friends had came over and was talking to me about my appearances and kind of busting my balls about it. But it was all in good fun. But the conversation that we had concerning my appearances kind of got me thinking about something, because he was also critiquing my appearances and the things I was saying and the things I was doing. And he said something that a lot of people had told me before. Well, rather, when you look at the comments on the actual streams when I showed up and people in the chat, they would say, why do you ask the girl, do you find me attractive? You never ask a girl, do you find me attractive? So that question in of itself is kind of seen as like a big no-no when it comes to talking to girls, and amongst many other big no-nos, I might say. But concerning that question, and I think I kind of explained why I asked that in the first place. But the point that I was trying to make to my friend, and what I would say to anyone who took issue with me asking that question, is that for me, all of that stems from the fact that I don't really give a fuck. I wasn't going up there with any like real concern or belief that I was gonna get the bitch anyway. But not only that, I think that when I look at the dating game, when I look at dating and interactions between men and women, when it comes to flirting and trying to escalate towards, getting a number and this and that, one thing that I've noticed is that so many men are basically living in fear. They live in fear of what the girl is gonna say if they happen to say this, or if they happen to say that, if they behave a certain way and whatnot. Because, and look, it's understandable, because we all know that when it comes to interactions between men and women and dating, women can be very fickle. Like, it's kind of like, and I've brought this up multiple times, but when you look at like the whole Android thing, where girls say, I wouldn't date a guy who got an Android. And then you kind of explore the whole ick phenomenon, which is basically girls admitting and talking about how, they could like a guy, but then he'll do one tiny thing, and it'll give them the ick, and it'll make them feel less attracted to him or not attracted to him at all. And then they'll just kind of, drop him like it's hot, right? And so that's something that I've realized about women and about, dating. And so when you look at men, when you look at guys, how do they deal with that? And so this is where the whole question of how do I talk to girls kind of comes into play. Because if you think about it, I'm sure all of you or many of you have heard this before. You've heard guys say, how do I talk to girls? How do I talk to girls? How do I do this, right? But the thing is, you never hear guys say that, like, in regards to like, how do I talk to other guys? As far as like trying to make friends, right? Like, I've never heard somebody say, I'm trying to make male friends. How do I talk to guys? As men, when we deal with each other, and I guess I can say the same for women when they deal with each other on a friendship level, we don't really concern ourselves with the specifics of how we like of what we're gonna say and how we behave. I mean, of course, there's like the basic how should I say, like things like body language and whatnot. Like, okay, if I'm gonna shake the guy's hand, firm handshake, basic shit like that. But we don't really think about it in terms of like every little specific do or don't that you would or won't say trying to make a friend. And I think the reason for that is when it comes to people trying to make friends, I think the general mentality is that, look, I'm going to deal with you and interact with you however I want to. And you either accept me for who I am and we click, or you don't and we just don't deal with each other. You know, it's like I've never seen people concern themselves with this, again, specific things like, okay, I can't say that, I can't do that when it comes to just trying to make friends or talking with people on a casual level. But when it comes to dating, in particular, when you're talking about men dealing with women and trying to attract women, that's when we have all these rules that we got to play by, all these rules we have to follow so we don't give the girl the ick, so we don't turn them off. And so going back to the question, do you find me attractive? The reason why I could ask a question like that is because I simply don't play by those rules. I don't give a fuck. And you guys know I've resigned myself to the possibility of dying a single virgin is all good. And that's what gives me the freedom to do shit like that. And so that's why my approach on the Pineapple Show was just so basically I call it kamikaze, right? Where you just, it's like you don't care how it ends, because you're it's the very definition of being outcome independent. People always talk about outcome independence when it comes to dating and how you shouldn't care and all that. But I really lived that shit. What you guys saw was absolute and true outcome independence. But we also saw the reality of that level of outcome independence where, and I believe somebody had left a comment talking about this before, but what you have is a situation where girls are so used to guys playing the game, you know, basically catering and conforming to what girls want guys to do when it comes to you talking to them. Girls expect you to come to them a certain way. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but my thing has always been, I want to be myself. I want to be true to myself. And so when I was having this conversation with my friend, you know, not in a serious way, but, you know, he obviously disagreed with my approach. And I was just reminding him, like, I was just up there having fun and being myself. And I think that in of itself is an interesting topic, you know, just the whole idea of, you know, how much can you really be yourself and also be attractive to women at the same time? It's just like, I remember one time, and I get it now, but I didn't quite understand then. But I remember years ago, and this is the same friend, right? We were hanging out, and me and him, we're both kind of goofy, and we joke around and have fun and shit like that. And I remember, I think it was either his girl that called him or maybe a girl that he was just talking to. And I remember his whole demeanor just changed. Like, it's like you ever seen like how Steve Urkel in Family Matters turns into Stefan Urkel? Now, I'm not gonna say he's like as bad as like Steve Urkel, but it was like watching an instant transformation where I saw my friend go from, you know, just fun, smiling, laughing, goofy guy to super serious, suave playboy on the phone. You know, like his voice got deeper and all of that. And at the time, again, I didn't quite understand it, but I get it now. And a lot of that just had to do with the fact that, you know, in his dealings with whoever that girl was, he had to kind of adjust his behaviors according to what she found attractive. And I'm not trying to shit on guys for that. You do what you got to do, right? It's hard. It's hard, man. I get it. And a lot of times I think guys just don't have much of a choice but to play the game for what it is, because most of us are operating from a position where we don't have leverage. You know, we're dealing with women who have access to men who, well, one, they have access to more options than us, but also they have access to men who are better than us in various ways. They have access to men who have more money than us, men who are taller than us, men who look better than us, men with bigger muscles, men with bigger dicks, men who are more charismatic, men who have this guy knows how to fix a car, this guy is super intelligent, whatever the case may be. And so it's very competitive. And so in order to win the game of dating, sometimes I get that, you got to sort of conform and adjust anything that you can about yourself to give yourself a better shot. If you got to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, walk a certain way, then that just might be what you need to do in order to seal the deal. But my thing is, I never wanted to live that way. I think for me, it was always just more important to always be myself, regardless of how people react to it or respond to it. And not to say that I'm perfect as I am. Obviously everybody has flaws and things they can work on. So if I ever acknowledge or sense something or see something about myself that I think I need to change or area I need to work on, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But if it's something that's just who I am and I don't see it as a negative, then it's whatever. And that's just how I've pretty much always lived my life. And that's why you saw me up there, having fun the way that I was, but basically breaking all the rules. Again, you would never ask a girl, do you find me attractive? You're putting them on the spot, and you're forcing them to answer a question that could either make them uncomfortable or, sort of accelerate the process of figuring out if it's even going to go anywhere. And that's really why I would ask that question in the first place, because again, you don't got to play by the rules when you don't give a fuck. But the title of this video, I just had to lay all that out first to actually get to the point I'm trying to make here, which is, again, the title of the video is Maybe You're Supposed to Be Single, right? And what I mean by that is when we go back to the topic of men conforming and adjusting their behaviors and walking on eggshells, I can't say this, I can't do this, I'm not going to say that doesn't work out for guys, but I do think that there is a big issue of men trying to force what really isn't there. And what I mean is, you are who you are. And if you gotta fake the funk to make somebody like you, a lot of times that's only gonna take you so far, and it's only gonna work for so long because we are who we are. And so even if you do get the girl, even if you guys do get together, if you've strayed too far from who you are at your core, I believe that a lot of times, that relationship just isn't going to work out because you guys just aren't compatible. And I think really a lot of it comes down to this, because you got to think about it. When you look at the tiny things, the small things a man can do that would give a girl the ick, which is the reason why so many men tend to, again, walk on eggshells and play by the rules, so to speak. When you look at that, what that says and what that tells me is that if it was that easy for her to lose attraction to you, the attraction was probably never that strong to begin with. And so all these things that you do to conform and to adjust yourself to her liking, I see it as trying to force what's not there. And I've always believed that the best relationship is going to be with the girl who just likes you a lot. The girl that likes you so much, she'll look past or not even see what other girls would see as unattractive or as bullshit. It's like one of the Wheat Waffles videos that I watch. He's one of the black pill, red pill YouTubers, talks about lookism and things like that in the dating game. And I remember he said that the best interactions that he had with girls and his best relationships were with girls who obviously had a high interest in him, where it was easy when he felt like he had to be the pursuer and he had to be chasing and, again, playing by the rules, walking on eggs. I can't say this, I can't do that. Those were his worst interactions with women because he was trying to force what wasn't really there. He said his best interactions with women were always with the girls that obviously liked him. The girls that saw him as he was and just liked what they saw. And it makes me think back to like all those years ago when that cashier girl, that one cashier girl that definitely liked me. The one thing I never forgot about those few interactions I had with her was that I felt like I was good enough as I was. I didn't feel like I had to do anything. I didn't feel like I had to do anything to make her like me. She just liked me. And even though I wasn't all that attracted to her, and even though I didn't pursue that, that made me feel that was a great feeling to feel like somebody just likes you. I mean, in that moment, I might as well have been Chris Brown or Drake. That's really how it felt though. And so what I mean when I say maybe you're supposed to be single is that because you see so many guys who are bothered by being single and bothered by being a virgin. And I definitely understand that, but I think it could be even worse if you try to force something that's not there. If you try to fake the funk and pretend to be somebody that you're not and do a bunch of shit that you really don't want to do in order to find love, in order to make somebody like you, I think that can backfire. I'm not saying every time. Some guys are just true to the game, right? Like some guys are just straight up chameleons and they'll say and do whatever. And that's just how some people just built like that, but me, I'm too much of an individual and for me, it's too much of a principle to be true to who I am and express myself openly and honestly when it comes to, dealing with people. And I don't want to be around people that don't see me and like me for who I am, and I just feel like if me saying something like, do you find me attractive is enough to just make the girl throw her hands up and be like, oh no, fuck this nigga, then that's not, that to me, that's not the girl for me. I don't want the girl that has so little attraction for me that one little insignificant comment or question could just destroy any possibility of us having something. I want the girl that likes me and I would have to go out of my way to fuck it up. And when you think about it, because we talk about this, when we talk about shit like abuse chads and, girls being with like, oh, why is she with him? He's an asshole. He's a jerk. Well, the reason why that relationship works is because she has a strong attraction for him. She likes him, excuse me, she likes him a lot despite his obvious flaws. And sometimes that's just how you would rather it be. I'm not saying that like you just don't be an asshole intentionally and be hitting girls and shit. I'm just using that as an example of how you can have somebody who has obvious flaws, but when that natural attraction is just there and it's that strong, they can look past it. They can look past this or that or the other. And so when I say again, sometimes you might just supposed to be single. When I look at myself and the few interactions I've had with girls, and I talked about this on the Choosing Signals episode of the podcast. Those times there were times when girls came on to me and I just really wasn't attracted to them, and then there were times when I was attracted to girls, but more than likely they wouldn't have been into me. And so I feel like I have no regrets when it comes to any of the decisions that I've made in regards to how I've dealt with and interacted with women, because I've always only been myself and made the best possible choice that I thought was right for me, and I think that if I would have tried to force situations, I would have been worse off. And that's pretty much my whole point here is, and you know me, I'm not the guy that's like trying to tell people what to do or how you look. If you want to be the chameleon, if you want to play by the rules and the PUA do's and don'ts, dude, that I really don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, for me personally, I would see it as much more of an accomplishment to have that girl where I could be myself. I could ask the questions I want to ask. I could do and say what the fuck I really want to, and she still like me. That, to me, that's the ultimate prize. That would be the ultimate goal in terms of a relationship. The girl that likes me for me, and not the girl that likes me for adopting a disguise or adopting a way, a method of behaving and talking that I think is gonna be best for trying to get into her pants. But that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you later. Johnny.